So please welcome Karen Kartika to the show. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me to be in your show.
You're
I'm so
so,
honored.
you're so welcome. Well, we have our mutual friend, Ellie Molina, and anytime she sends me someone, I know there's a magical reason, and I just love the connection, and I know I connect so much with her that anyone that she brings to me is for a reason, and I know that now learning about you and getting ready to share you on my show, it made me excited because when I looked at everything that you do, I'm like, oh my gosh, what doesn't she do? But I want you to kind of explain your background. And I was just reading some of your writings and your book, and you're just such a great the way you write, like I was
Oh,
like living in it, like your words, and it's beautiful. But take us to like kind of how you grew up, maybe like how you started to be so interested. I mean, it's everything. You do everything. I mean, why? Like what? I need to know where Karen has, like, what the journey has taken her to get to learn everything. Like when we were talking about you coming to the retreat,
uh-huh.
you could just run the whole thing. It's the Karen show. We learned
Sure.
so much. So anyway, go there.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Well, I feel like I'm just making up time in this lifetime because I was born in Indonesia, born and raised there. I came to the US to pursue my bachelor degree, and then something happened to my country. I got to stay here, and so on and so forth. So I've been here for more than 25 years, maybe more. Um, and I went through the journey thinking like, oh, I really know what I was going to do. That was proven wrong
Right.
all the way. Um, so I actually created my success before 30. I had a great career in advertising agency. I had a great position. I went to work for this multinational firm. Had a beautiful office in the 30th floor of a Chicago building. And I was looking down. I'm like, wow, how come even though with everything that I have that I had going in my life, I was still feeling like I missed something. And I was like looking at just the view down below, and I said, I wonder what that person is doing. How come he or she looks so happy? And I was like looking at the other person, I'm like, I wonder what she's doing. Like, is this what life is? Like achieving, doing all this great work, becoming somebody that I thought was so important to be, but then at the same time, feeling part of me was still missing. So I decided, and I did not recommend this to anyone, especially those of you who need to plan ahead of their life, to never, ever, ever jump into like saying, okay, bye
Right.
to the corporate world. I did not have a plan. I only knew that I just need to make a change. I don't know what is going to be next, but I always know in my heart that if I needed to do something, I can create it. Or if I needed money, I can create it. Like I will not have an issue on that. So I just literally gave my notice and gave all my reasons because at that point I burned a lot of bridges. And I embarked on a journey of basically self discovery. It has not stopped until today, to be honest with you, because I found out that there's so many things that we could do.
Mhm.
It's because of our mutual friend as well. We all, the things that connect us the most is because we can see that the world is full of possibilities.
Right.
So that what gave me permission to just try, go create something. And for me, it feels like a lot of transformations happening throughout my life already. And that transformations have created, yes, sometimes a turmoil within me because like sometimes I cannot even tell my friends or family, like, so Karen, who are you today? I'm like, yeah, hold on. Let me look at what I'm doing right now. But what has enriched me throughout this process is that I went really deep into finding out what other people think is things to be taken for granted, just for the sake, like, for example, I grew up in a culture where it's almost set, like, you went to school, went to college, after that you find a job. The next expectation is you go and find husband, get married, have children, retire. That's it.
Right.
So I had to sort of kind of like for my own in my own journey, live with with believing that that's not the only way. And it was not easy because letting go of a big cultural pressure and including parents' pressure, it's something that, like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right
Right.
or wrong? So, but from that, I from just giving myself the courage to just, you know what, I'm going to try to see what else is out there. I give myself permission to just explore. And I pursued everything that I wanted in my life, which is being of service to others through different healing arts. I started with learning coaching because at that time that was the first thing that I found throughout some synchronicity. This lady had a seminar and she explained to me the concept of therapy versus coaching. And I'm like, oh, okay, this was the first time I heard about coaching. And I'm like, okay, I like what she's doing to help others, where it's really looking at the present moment and creating from today onward, not always playing with or
Right.
not always bringing the past with us. Because I feel like that was the biggest burden. I have the cultural biases or the cultural pressures and my own parents' pressure that I feel like, okay, that was great until I become an adult, but now I want to create my own path. So I went into coaching. From there, I explore hypnotherapy because there's so much about the mind that I
Mhm.
did not know about. I was like, wow, that's fascinating. That 80% of our life is operated out of subconscious. Thing that we're not conscious at all that we're doing. That
Right.
sometimes it does not make sense, but we're still doing it. So that's how I got into hypnotherapy. And after that, I got into relationship that then opening me up into the world of energy. And from there, I realized I'm starting to make the connections that how we operate in our life, if we want to make it really conscious, the universe has given us a lot of signs, a lot of polls, indications. That's how I got into astrology, and the latest one is human design, because people now are showing me through the energy of the cosmos, we are created. We actually have a blueprint that if we want to play in and using this blueprint, it can make life a lot more enriching, a lot more freeing, and all the things that we picked up from culture, from how we being brought up, and how the energy of our external, we got to decide for ourselves whether we want to allow those influences to be in our life, or we can say, hey, actually, I have this strength that I can use. I have this traits that I can use that gives me kind of like confidence. You know what, no, I'm gonna say no to that. I'm gonna just embody that and make this, so creating life become more confidence. Like there's a what's that um air in the wing, like this, it prompting me up to say, I can actually with confidence say whatever that I've done in my life, it was not a mistake.
Right.
I am guided to do what I've been doing all this time. So um to answer your questions, why am I doing so many things? To be honest with you, it's really hard for me to narrow down on an interest. And that is something that I realize it's part of, like, I guess I have a lot of fire in my chart. That's always like, ooh, let's go for something that is energetic, that is lifting me up. And with the way that the world is changing right now, it's hard to stop because there's so many people are now being able to share, and there are a lot more access to this mystery of the universe that I don't have any access 10 years ago. So
Right.
now it's more like, so the I'm starting to now realize that whatever it is that I learned, which I used to say to myself, oh my God, why did I have this many paths? Why did I learn so many? And you know, that term of like check of all trade but master the
Master of
none.
none.
Was like, oh, I hate it if I'm becoming that. But I realized now it's like for me, especially during this time, that's why you're probably having a hard time finding me on my website, is me creating who I am with the utmost power of like, I am creating who I am now
Right.
with all my experiences, everything that I know, I've learned, and creating something which, again, this is still in almost kind of like I'm going into the kitchen and I'm just putting together all the ingredients and I'm letting it sit so it will rise, so that you know, I love having an ownership of this is this is my creation. This is like my bread that I put together, right? When I bake, it's like, ooh, yes, it's coming together. So I'm looking forward to that excitement because I know that all of this is some part of it that I notice. Yes, I learned so many things. I know so many things. It's not for my own good. I'm here to serve others. And the way that the world is opening up right now, there's no boundaries of who I'm going to be talking to next. No boundaries of countries, no boundaries of, you know, talents or backgrounds or whatnot. And having the abilities to connect with so many people is because of my experiences and knowledge that I feel is the precious things that I have right now, because that really opens me up to just connect with whoever I want, who then can also tap into what they need to know or need help from what I have in my toolbox or my experiences.
Right. Oh, I
That
love
was
it.
my long answer. Sorry.
Oh no. But I relate to you when I left I was not in Chicago looking down at the street, but I left one day the corporate world, started a day spa with nothing, didn't know how to do it. I think when I was reading something, I'm a manifesting generator, and so are you, right?
I'm
In
a
human
manifesting
design.
generator. Yes.
Yes. Um, and so I was when you're saying that, I'm like, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but and then I just knew like when I didn't have my children until I was later, like 37 and 40, and didn't meet Richard till I was 35. So I had this, I studied so many seminars. I went on, opened this company, this business with nothing, but I just trusted because I had done all the work and I thought, let me see if it works. I'm going
Mm.
to put this to work. I'm going to just go out and find this place, start it, see who comes to work for me, and then it just all it worked. And then I bought a couple houses. It worked.
Yeah.
And I figured out how to meet Richard, and it worked. All the things I put all the little, my little things that I learned, my toolkit to work, and it all came to me.
Yeah.
So I think now, 20 years later, when I look at my life, and that part of my life was raising children. And
Mm.
so when I'm listening to your story, and that was part, now I'm here, like they're at the end of their childhood. And I'm now seeing, you know, kind of I looking at a higher perspective from that building, looking down, going, okay, Ashley, where are we going now?
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
I'm always in the same, that's why I loved what you just said, because I'm always looking to what can I do? I want to contribute.
Yeah.
Nothing fills my heart more when I help somebody. That
Yeah.
lights me up so much. But so when I think of the things that you do, the human design, astrology, breath, everything. I mean, we kind
Energy
of
healing,
give
breath
the
work,
breath
sound.
work. So we do breath work at the retreat, and I just love, I feel so that's like changed my life. And Anyway, so go on to wherever you want to go to, like what sparked your interest in human design and what have you learned about that and what have you helped people with astrology and how do you connect all these dots that I mean, you put it all together in your bread and you bake it and then you get to help people.
Yeah. So I begin start what how I incorporate everything at one point was that I always, as in my in even when I was in corporate world, I believe in um helping people being empowered to use their strength, because in so much in corporate world, or even in just our, the way that we interact with others, we have this um you know expectation that certain people have to behave certain way, while in fact we are so unique individually, and but because of the pressures that we have to meet somebody's or people's standard, that we sort of kind of like put that aside and behaving a different way. So that's why astrology and human design become something that I really love introducing to my clients, is because it's not because, oh yes, my sun is, I'm Leo, so that means I need to be the center of attention, which I actually do not like. Um, and, or I have to be an actor or performers, which that's not me either. I mean, I love acting, I love learning about it, but for all different reasons. Um, like you're Sagittarius, does that mean that you have to be a teacher? You do have the traits to be, you love sharing the information, but you don't have to be a teacher. Um, and all of that, sometimes it's limiting when you only say that, oh yeah, my son is this, or I'm a manifesting generator, or I am this. So, but because within the body of the natal chart, or in human design, the human design blueprint, there's so many other aspects that's going on within that chart, which makes a sun sign of Leo, for like me, is different than another person with the same sun sign of Leo, even though the same year, the same month, even maybe the same day, but because of the other things that's happening in that chart, makes us two different individuals. And so from there, in my coaching or my healing, I allow people to come back to that natural state, to that energy that they have, that they can tap in at any time. Especially because a lot of my clients will come in and say, "Oh, I'm feeling like I don't have the motivations in life or work, career. I feel like there's something else, but I don't know what to tap in." Most of that will come usually from what I mentioned earlier, where they're behaving or they're using energy in a way that is not natural to them. So my work is bringing them back into their energy. For example, like you have an ascendant in Taurus, so people will see you like, oh, you're very well put together. You're very organized. You're very goal oriented. But I also know your sun sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius like to just like explore. I'm gonna go to the next, like, oh, there's another good one. Let me shoot that thing. And I'm like, I'm going that way. Immutable fire. So the mutable, in being immutable, means you're gonna change a lot. You're gonna go where the directions of the fire wants to go. And while the Taurus ascendant, people will see you like, oh, you're very grounded, you know what you're doing, and so and so and so forth. So sometimes people like, you're very different. You're not that like, right? You're regular, the regular Sagittarius. And on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, let me just pull up your chart real quickly here. You also have your Mercury next to Sagittarius, which makes you always want to be sharing what you know, what you've met along the way as part of your adventure, as you're finding out a lot of things. You do love sharing that. And for you, it's important to share or being in a community, in a tribe where you can always continuously sharing what you're finding.
Oh, so
And the
true.
ruler of your ascendant is in the 10th house. 10th house means it's a public, public position. The way, so you are perceived to be leaders for a lot of people. and you do feel that in your heart that you want to bring something that people have not seen, or um, Aquarius is future, something that you know something about the future. Maybe you can even, you might not have all the ingredients or you might not have all the details, but you know there are something out there or the truth that you're continuously seeking, which put you in that place of leaderships amongst your, people who look up to you. And
Hmm.
that's what, that's what people are looking for you for, is that, um, value that you bring for them, where they can learn something that, oh, I can carry this to create my future. I can use this to tap into the things that I don't know, that seems like very strange, but it makes sense, which I feel like your whole podcast is all about
Oh
that.
my gosh, it's so you just had nailed everything. Everything. That is crazy. But when you say I like to share, like everyone listening, we're like, "Oh, she always sends me all the podcasts." But sharing this, that's a huge part of why I love doing this, is that instead of me sending everybody a text message of all these podcasts, I just get to bring them on here and they can come to my podcast and listen. So I'm
Yeah.
not, but I do, that fills my soul. But so to even have you say that, and even the Taurus thing was true, the Sagittarius thing, I know it, I don't mean it like it's true, but I know it's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like you're doing it in a great, perfect way, because when you have something that you want to share to others, but if people are not in the receptive mode
Hmm.
to that topic, they will find you like strange.
Right.
So you have to be in an environment where people are receptive to whatever topics that you want to share. And the way that you're creating your platform allow people to come in, because Venus, something about Venus that I always like to show is that, kind of like a magnifying, right? So imagine if it's a magnifying thing, and it's people are attracted to the mirror, because it's like it's actually enlarging something that, oh yes, I'm really interested in that, thank you, you're actually bringing that for me. So you're creating this platform allowing people who have that kind of like looking glass to like, oh, that's the direction that I need to go. So you're not forcing it to people, which I feel like sometimes when, especially in, with Aquarius, the things that you're interested in, not many people
Right.
are interested in a normal way. Although that's the future that we're going
Right.
to, but the process to go there, we have to kind of like only set, people who are awakened to the ideas, or to that to the yeah, awakened to the ideas, are the one who ready to listen. So
Right.
you're allowing it to be, and you're using, that's another thing about Aquarius, you're using technology to
Huh.
spread the message. And that's just beautiful, because that gives people the ability to find you
Huh.
and
Aquarius
connect.
has a connection to technology.
Yes, very
Oh,
much.
okay. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where does the human design play into that?
So let me pull up the human design. Let's see here. December 14, 1968, 2 p.m. Okay, that's correct, right?
Uh-huh.
Just want to double check. Because your human design is actually generator,
Oh,
not
okay.
manifesting generator.
Okay.
What differentiate between manifesting generator and generator is just that the connection between the sacral to the throat. So you do have your throat center defined, you do have your sacral defined. However, there's no direct connection between the two, which make you a very powerful generator. You do need other people to help you manifest, meaning that
Hmm.
you might have an idea, but when you need to implement it, you must kind of like be in an environment of people where you suddenly feel like, oh yes, that's the right way for me to do. Because
Right.
when you're sitting by yourself in a room and you're locking yourself, you're not connected to anybody, and you're trying to decide on something, more likely than not, your body does not give you that kind of like vibration of a yes or no, or let's move on with this idea or not. It will be very confusing. So you have a lot, you have this kind of like, you have your G center defined, which means you know exactly what your soul wants, and it's connected to your sacral. So at any moment when that heart, full blown, it's like, yes, I want to do this. The sacral is already kind of like work through it, the details of it or the energy to push forward. And yet at the same time, if you do it too early without connecting in the right environment, the ideas or the push could feel like putting you in the wrong direction. It feels like, this is probably too early to launch, or this is doesn't feel good in the body. So it's you need to sometimes have to wait to be in the right place, the right time to say yes. And then once you say yes, everything just come into place, beautifully, without even you're making too much strategy, which you do have a way to kind of like filter down what you need, what needs to happen, and already having that imaginations of how things are going to line up, how things are going to be organized. But at the same time, that beauty of you being in the right place in the right time makes things go even faster. I don't know
Wow.
if that.
Oh, wow. Yes. And I have to explain that because I was telling you that I started doing retreats and I mentioned it on a podcast and it was just like, I'm going to put it out there. I'm just going to have that as my intention. And I had this sweet woman that I've had now as my dear friend that listens to the podcast says, I live in San Diego. I know where it's going to be. So we connect and put it together and sold out, done. And then it was like everyone that I asked to come be a speaker or do the breath work, it was done in like a week. And then that happened. And then I wanted to do another one. And I found my husband's in commercial real estate. So he helped me find a spot. Same thing. And even the people but you're right about me when I know in my soul, like even just when I opened that day spa, it was like that spark. There was something that said that, or the podcast, whatever it is,
Mm.
and I go, but I know it's like it's a knowing, and I just trust, and then it just falls into place. But my recent experience with these retreats is, wow, this people would say, wow, it just like you just thought of it and it just all came together. And then the people show up and there's not enough, like it was just like, it was that's how it happens. But that's because I'm a generator. I'm glad you cleared that up because
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I forget why I thought I was that, but I'm so glad because it was nailed.
The generator, and also the connections that the channel, that you have between gates, that creates who you are, and that the blueprint that you have. It's there's that connection between the sacral and the soul center, which not many people I feel have, and I know those who have it have this kind of that strong knowing when
Hmm,
things are just like, oh, that's mine, I'm gonna do it and it's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen like that. And
huh,
you also have this connection between the third eye and the throat. So the minute that you say the things, because after you have the big idea, right? And you're like, do, 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 something started kind of like trickling down, like you got downloads, and you're
right.
like, oh, this is the good download. And you just mention it. Somebody who are in your environment who connect the dot for you will then just, come to, bring it together for you
Huh,
to see that things are gonna happen.
right. Your book, the gates, I've never heard of the gates. Explain the gates, like what you talking about in the body, because there's how many? 60,
64.
64 gates.
Yes. So the way that I came to this book was actually by invitation by a friend of mine. Her name is Win. So I want to give credit that I'm 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 the co-author of this book.
Right.
She had this idea for the longest time to make learning human design very easy, which I support her 100%. Because when I was first studying human design, oh my God, it felt like I went to pharmacy and trying to read all the
Yeah.
ingredients in the
Yes, I get it.
So when she's like, okay, we're gonna gamify human design learning, I'm like, okay, whatever it is that you need, I'm in there. So what makes human design unique is not about just the generator, manifesting generator, and all that, which that help at the first layer of us becoming more aware of who we are, right? It help us making decision more in our natural state, or being in our body in more natural state. Because like generator, manifesting generator, we need that kind of vibrations in our body to give us that feeling or directions to where we want to go next, where we need to be going next. It's not about the egos, like how the universe are inviting us or pushing us to go next.
Mm.
um so like for example, like projector, they needs to be invited, like they are here to guide others, but they need to be invited energetically. And once they are invited, they will become like this wise sage that will help anyone, even though that person probably not able to receive, or don't even know that they need help. But projector has this energetic that is very laser focused to say, you're in your shadow, this is what you need to do, kind of
Mm.
way.
Oh.
So we all have that strength or that unique traits, begin with the layers of the energetic aura that we have. But the gates explain the nitty gritty of, this is why I, becomes, gates and astrology become kind of like hand in hand, because the gates is what um, light up when you were born based on the planetaries.
Okay.
And there are 64 gates based on the I Ching. I Ching is this Chinese metaphysic that shows the life path of somebody. So if you know the Joseph Campbell hero's journey,
Mm-hmm.
if Joseph Campbell is going to create like the step by step of this hero journey outside of the, was it 10 step or 12 step that he created, it actually can can expand to 64. And that's what I Ching is all about. It
Okay.
start from the creations, which is the masculine energy, and the feminine energy, which is gate one and gate two, came together that create a chaos that create creations, which is gate three, and so on and so forth. And it goes into three cycles of becoming. That first, the hero's journey of like, okay, now I am this person and I'm creating this, but at one point I'm going to start learning lessons. So that's one cycle of becoming. And then the second cycle of becoming of, okay, now I've already um, gone through the obstacles, what's gonna, and I'm gonna learn more, and I'm gonna hit another plateau, or I'm gonna hit another rock bottom, and that's another cycle. And then there's another cycle, which then create the that beautiful cycles of becoming from very young age to maturity. So the 64 gate shows in the human design as the connectors between the chakra, the crown center, the ajna center, the throat, the heart, the willpower, and emotional center, spleen, sacral, and root. So human design expand the centers from seven, which is the Indian ways of the Indian chakra system, to nine, which according to the inventor of it is how human evolution is. And after 2027, there might be a possibility that the centers is gonna add even more, because of the awareness that we're starting to becoming awakened to, like our
Oh.
consciousness is becoming more and more able to receive the energy, or being able to perceive more than we can perceive right now. So there will
Oh.
be another evolutions in the human design, where there might be more centers that will be known as a result.
Oh, that's fascinating to me. I have never heard that. In
Yeah.
2027.
Yes. Yes. There's gonna be like the beginning of how this evolution is going to starting to be seen. Like those children who are going to be born after 2027 may have different traits that than what we're seeing in our generations today.
Because we're what? Explain that in your
Um,
words.
as we're the belief is human evolutions is entering the next chapter, I guess, or the next cycle. And I think I'm noticing this with the way that there are so many people are awakened to the, or having their consciousness being open, way bigger than how I'm seeing myself or how we're seeing the world from maybe 100 years ago. I
Right.
think what happened is back in the days, if we're taking all the stories from Atlantis and the Lemurians or the Egyptians, we know we're not the only being here. We're not like this body is just kind of like a way for us to be able to see who we are in this 3D plane,
Right.
as people are explaining it, right? While in fact we are in well, in fact this is just one dimensions, and there are more people are being opened up into different dimensions or level of being consciousness to be able to see that there are energy that is way beyond this body, that there are other energetic beings that are in different vibrations than us that actually exist together with us here in
Right.
this plane that we cannot see right now. But there are a lot more people who are who are able to raise their consciousness or raise their vibrations to that level of high vibrations to start being able to see this. And there are going to be more and more who are going to be able to do that, including the children who are going to be born next after 2027, that
Right.
they might have the ability to see things the way that our eyes right now cannot see because their vibrations are way higher than where we are currently, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. I was just listening to this thing today, and it was this woman that had a near-death experience, and she said it's 2027 was when we were going to start seeing the extraterrestrials, like the ETs were going to be, our vibration was going to
Wow.
be there. That was 2027. And then I was listening to Bashar, and in 2012, he talked about um, 24, 25 and 2012, that sound like, forever. And here we are in 24,
Yeah. Yeah.
moving into 25. And that's when he said back in 2012 that we were going to start to have that connection, contact.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
feel do you see that?
I noticed in 2012, the awakenings were more like I can feel it because I thought I was going crazy because I was in this hypnotherapy school, and everybody that I was talking about starting to be able to see things like energies, or they're starting to see um, spirits. They're starting to see their dead relatives and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, why are there so many people? Because it's a huge hypnotherapy school here in Tarzana, and it's not just in that school that I'm starting to also experience that people are attracted to me to start sharing how they're starting to have this awakening symptoms, or those who have kind of like shut down those abilities. In 2012 something happened to them that they realized that I have to allow it to be open again, that I cannot not see, because not being able to see create problems in their life, including their health. So I noticed that in 2012, that awakening is huge, because up to then, nobody around my vicinity are talking about it. We are all, I was still talking about, okay, what's the next job that I want to get, or like, okay, if I'm manager, what am I gonna do in 6 months? Am I gonna try to get a director level, or all of that? Or if you're trying to create a business, you're just like, okay, we're gonna strategize doing this and that. So that was until 2012. That was my reality. And then suddenly 2012, everybody's starting to talk about it. I was still hesitant in the beginning because I came from a very analytical
Right.
landscape, and I'm like, oh, am I ready for this? And for a long time, I'm like I really want to see, but I'm too scared. I really want to see, but I'm too scared. But life sort of kind of pushed me in that directions, and I talk about it with my friend who um, went to the same school, and we kind of rekindled after 10 years, and she also experienced the same thing. 2012 for her, suddenly she was known to be a psychic, which she did not even plan on doing. She decided to teach psychic
Huh.
abilities to other people, and she used to be just she used to own a small business selling um exotic animals. Like, how
Oh,
did that
wow.
jump?
That's funny.
So things are opening up like that, and if you've heard about, like, I think Bashar is one, but also Dolores Cannon has predicted this to also happen, and we are in that precipice of either people going to believe it 100% or or tuning in more into these higher vibrations, or people going to decide that it's such a BS thing and they decided to stay asleep, kind of, in a way. Because there will be that split of people choosing not wanting to believe that life after, especially after 2020, is going to be totally different. Like,
Right.
we're just stepping into it right now, and anybody who's expecting that life is going to stay or remain the same as we are today is just going to have a really hard time moving forward.
Right.
And I feel like we're starting to see it breaking down in our financial system, in just the way that we're working. I think COVID opened us up to the possibility of not even being in the office, right? And being able to connect with people worldwide. And if people are still reluctant, even with that technology, imagine the next technology that's gonna come that will force the way that people are living. So
Right.
that's why I feel it's very important, if people are not secure or know who they are or know their value in the society, the next few years is going to be kind of hard, because it's easy to then feel like, oh, what am I going to do now?
Right.
And being in and lost in that world where the vibration's going to go even higher and higher, and yet to stay there means that understanding that you are here for a purpose, a reason, it's more important than before, I feel.
Right. What do you study the solar, the moon and the astrology and I was listening to something you were talking about when we had on April 8th, the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
Will you explain like when things like that happen and you know, I feel like I remember that day and it was just like kind of eerie. I was tired. You go through those, you know, experiences and trying to understand like when you say but we're shifting in this new the people that are this higher vibration and we're moving in and we're flow going with that flow and really accepting it and learning and moving right like we are and
Yeah.
then the other people that are taking the other Y in the road are going to keep going down that path and that's their journey and then that's their soul's whatever lesson.
Yeah.
So explain some that whole like solar, the moon, and how the sun and all that stuff.
The eclipses are actually happening every year, twice a year. So that's where um it's a way that the position of the sun and the moon during that time, that it looks like it's eclipsing the view of either the sun or the moon. What the astrology are, or what we have seen, and I'm basing this also because I'm still also a student of astrology, that people who have been observing um, phenomena during eclipse is that it's the energy. Even in the name, it's eclipse, right? Something has to go, something needs to change, so something needs to be taken out, or something is being activated. So during this eclipse, why we are hearing it so much here in the US is because it is happening. The solar eclipse is happening in the US, and it's covering a lot of area in the US. And what people have studied in history before when this thing happened is especially a full solar, because not every year you get a full solar eclipse mean that you are not seeing the sun 100%, because there will be like eclipse that, yeah, the sun is going to be covered but really little and then it disappear. But this one is total solar eclipse. So when this happened, shift happened. Shift happened with the F or without the F, the same thing.
So funny.
And what people are scared is that, because we're also feeling it right here in the state, there's this kind of like conflicts that are somewhat unresolved. And this conflicts feels a little escalating because, yeah, I mean, we have not really gone out of what happened in 2020. Like, people are still trying to adjust to that change, and now it's even it feels like, yeah, there's some normalcy, but not everything is back to normal. And I'm noticing that there's this kind of like um feeling of like um disappointment or dissatisfactions about the current, whoever that's running the country right now.
Right.
So why it's a big deal with the eclipse for the US is because, all right, will this mean that there's going to be a huge shift in the government, in the way that we're being governed, or just being, especially because um Pluto is in Aquarius, and Pluto has been coming out of the US Pluto return, is there going to be a huge revolution or transformation in the US. So
Hmm.
that in why it's such a big deal of the solar eclipse that just happened in March and April. However, for the individual level, which I feel like that's always more important to me than the general consciousness, is where it is landing on your chart. A lot of people, I feel like, is being awakened just because it's in Aries and Libra. Aries is all about the beginning, the starting point, the seed, the I am.
Hmm.
Libra is who we are in relation to others, our relationship, whether it's intimate, professionals, all relationship. So when this is happening in this axis, feels like it's an invitation for people to start taking note of what needs to change within ourselves to be able to be present for others. Because I feel like more and more there's this conflicts that I was mentioning about is being kind of like this frequency that's being broadcast for all, to create like dissatisfactions and create that separations, like, oh, you're that, I am different, so we cannot be together. While in fact, during this time, the invitations or the asking is that we need to be able to understand that, yes, you can be your individual self and know your value, and yet at the same time, we're still one. We're
Right.
in a communion with so many, with the world. And how can you be in communion in the world if you don't know who you are? Because
Right.
that means you're either playing out on somebody else's expectations or agenda, which is, we have to be wary because there's this agenda that wants to kind of like push people to certain directions. Or would you know who you are and being able to broadcast of like, because when you know who you are, you're comfortable with who you are, and you love yourself, that means it's easy to broadcast love because you're so in love, you're
Right.
immersed in love. And that compassion can come to help remove that agenda of conflicts or separation or segregation that more and more I feel like, I mean, granted that we all like drama, we watch TV and show
Right.
that full of drama, but we don't really want that in our life, right?
Right. Right. I didn't realize this that with the government, the solar eclipse had to do with the government.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh. First
yeah,
time.
yeah.
First time a lot of things today, Karen.
Yeah, I'm glad I.
Where are you going? Like, like, where do you want to see yourself in the next? Do you do that? Like, where you've set out goals and you're like envision your do future? I've been doing the Joe Dispenza future meditation.
Oh, I love
I've
that.
been into that like every morning, and then at night I do the future thing again. And it's so fun because like I was telling you before, maybe I wasn't telling you, but I talk about it because I want to create after these retreats. I have loved so much, and I love what I see who's coming and what they're transforming after experiencing breath work and
Yeah.
all these amazing people that come, and you will come now. Um, that that fills me. And so then I'm like, oh, I've been doing my automatic writing, and I see you're gonna have this like a healing center, just like you had the spa in 2020, 2000, whenever we had 2001 is when I started my spa. Um, but it's so funny because when I had my spa, I had Reiki, I had Qigong, I had breath work, I had psychics come in. I had all that in
In
2001.
2001.
Yes. And I was like, what are all these people? They're all coming. In my automatic writing now, it's
Yeah.
saying that was your practice. That was what gave you confidence. Now you're ready to do it again, but it's going to be a healing center. And so now I start to like vision it, right? And so I'm doing this Dispenza future, and you walk through and you feel the feeling and you're like in that place. And, then I walk through the whole thing and I'm feeling what it's like when I have these, breath work sessions on the weekends or these, weekend retreats. There's rooms for all these healers that they're having sessions. I have a entryway with all these like, amazing books and art, all the things that's crystals. But I do that every day, and then I go out into my world and start the
Yes.
day. And that's what when brings like, I look at these office spaces that are empty and I look at it and I go, huh. And then I went today to Pilates and there's this restaurant that closed, and I look in the windows and I'm visual. So it's just anytime I have an empty space
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
I'm in my future meditation, and I can see
Wow.
that place and how the front desk, but I did that in 2001 for 5 years, and I know I can do it. But I know when you said what I was as a generator, like it's the people that I come together. I'm just the creator. In fact, with the spa, I wasn't an esthetician or a massage therapist. They're like, I just put it together and they came and taught it, did everything. But
Yes.
that's how I feel this is too.
Yeah.
But it's so
Yeah.
fun to, um, I don't live in fear and all that stuff. I just had my Indian palm leaf read. Have you heard of that?
Oh, I've heard of, oh my God, you're the second person who told me about this month. How was
Uh,
it? How was that
uh,
experience?
my life, that was on Monday that I got my reading. It's like it blew my mind. Nothing can top that. Nothing can top it. He even talked about my wellness center, my business. He talked about my daughter had abdominal. She had a tumor in her stomach in fourth
Uh-huh.
grade. Had to have surgery. He
Uh-huh.
brought that up. That was on my leaf.
Wow.
He says, your
That
name is
detail.
Ashley. Your husband's name's Richard. Your mother's name's Darlene. They went to everything.
Mind
You're
blowing.
a life coach. You love to help children. I mean, my jaw. So after that experience, and I'll stop talking, but after that experience, that was Monday. Today's Thursday. All I know is like it's hard to fathom that someone wrote your life on a leaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when he goes through, I'm 55, so he goes all the way up to like till I was 80. He kind of explains things. And then they send you healings.
Yeah.
You go through these mantras and these um I forget what they're called. There's certain rituals that you go through
Hmm.
to heal the blocks that they see,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
But what's interesting to me about that, and where my mind has been in 4 days, is like I'm living my life that whatever fills me with joy.
Mm.
We are always provided for. We
Mm.
never have to worry. It's all written on a leaf.
It is, right?
So I'm
If you
like,
think,
my life's on a leaf. I guess I just live in my leaf. But now that you heard it twice, it has to be something that's in you.
There's something here that I might have to explore for myself as
And
well.
that's why I'm surprised it's not on your list. There's no, that's definitely missing all of your things that you do.
Okay. That one I think I will just have to receive because I cannot compete with learning 1,000 years of, learning how to read that.
Oh no. And then it's a translator.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah, I think my friend also had a translator here and translating the whatever that the readers are in India, right?
right, yes. Yeah. So anyway, that's been fresh in my mind, and it definitely makes you think about everything is happening now.
Yeah.
My whole league is happening now.
Give you confirmation.
Uh,
Oh, that's so
yes.
funny. Yeah, our life is written on.
Yeah. My life's on.
Oops, I think the connection somehow is
Yeah, it was I saw that.
getting
It's
a
better
little.
now.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're at the end. So share any last words of care and wisdom before we say goodbye,
Oh my God, I'm gonna copy what you said. Just live your life. I mean, it's already written somewhere.
right?
Don't be afraid of, like, if you're really feeling the call to do something, just do it. Because there's really no mistake. Somehow it's all just gonna, come together in the craziest or the most beautiful way possible. Because it's meant something. It's never a mistake. We're not we're created for a reason. We're created in beautiful way, even though maybe in this life it looks kind of like so weird and out of place or whatever it is, but we are here for a reason and we're just leaving it. And the more that we can allow the fears of uh the the thing that always running in our head is like, oh, is this possible? Am I doing it right? I'm so guilty of spending another money for this, blah 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 blah. If we can just take a minute and breathe and feel it in our bodies, like, oh, it is what it is calling me. So
Mm.
know that we are always, whatever it is that is your sole purpose, that is your calling. And I have seen it over and over that we're always going to be provided. So there's no
Right.
fear needed there.
No, nothing. I know. I love that so much. You speak my language. I love it. So nice to meet you.
So
I
nice
loved
meeting
it. That was
you
such a
too.
fun hour. I really enjoyed it. You
Yes, same
taught
here.
me so
Thank
much.
you.
All right.